What up, homies? Welcome to this video. I went on my Facebook and I asked if you guys wanted to see a life update video and you guys said yes. Thank you so much. So that's what this video is gonna be about. I'm gonna rewind it all the way back to the beginning and let you guys know that my ex and I broke up back in November. We had like the conversation that led to trying to figure things out, things not being figured out, me not moving out, me overstaying a welcome by like a whole lot of months too long. Ultimately ended in like we don't talk to each other anymore. So then I lived on my mom's, not even on the couch, it was on my boss's air mattress in my mom's living room for what felt like 2 months, but it was probably more like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. The best part about the air mattress is that halfway through the night, or maybe like not even halfway through the night, I'm a big girl, it deflated every fucking night. I moved out of my mom's living room into an apartment over kind of near my one job. I really liked the apartment. When I moved in, I had like no stuff. I had to buy furniture. That's when I got my Mera Credenza. I made that video that you guys watched with the apartment tour when I moved in. You guys saw that. I don't live there anymore. When I moved into that apartment, well, before I moved into the apartment, when I went to go sign the lease, they gave me this piece of paper right here. And on this piece of paper, it states, and I quote,
"You are the sole occupant of your apartment. Our guest policy states the guest must obtain written permission from the office for overnight guests. The apartment is leased to only you. Anyone staying in the apartment would be subject to approval and added to the lease. This is a strict policy, and violation of this will result in filing for possession of your apartment of your lease."
I read that the same day that I signed my lease, and it didn't quite sit well with me. I was just kind of like, that's really strange. I have to get written permission for an overnight guest? But I love the apartment. It was cheap, I could afford it, I didn't want to live on my mom's floor anymore. So I signed the lease, and then I started telling people about this crazy policy. And the more people I told, the more I was kind of like, this is crazy. An overnight guest, I need to have written permission for them? It didn't necessarily become a problem until one of the ladies that I worked with, she lives in the apartment complex. I told her about the crazy rules. She'd been living in the apartment complex for like almost 15 years. She never heard of it, never heard of the policy before. And is there a bug? There's a tiny green something on my camera. What? Anyway, this lovely lady that I work with, she had never heard of the policy before, and I was kind of like, well, that's really strange. And then I was in my apartment and I left to go do laundry in the basement, and I'm walking around with my laundry basket and I run into my neighbor and I start chatting with her and I tell her about the crazy policy, and she had never heard of it. And she was a couple years older than me. She'd been living there. I moved in April, she had moved in January. So for her to not have heard of the policy, I was like, what? So I decided to call my landlord and let her know that the policy, that I'm just not comfortable with it. I wanna know if it's something that's completely strict with everyone. Why am I the only one that's being subject to this? Why am I the only one that got this information? While I'm on the phone with her, she puts me on hold and she comes back on the line and she says, I just spoke with our lawyers and we'll allow you to move out in 30 days instead of the normal 60 that we asked tenants to give. And I was like, I didn't ask to move out. I didn't say that. I was kind of baffled and I was like, okay, thanks, bye. The next couple of days is kind of a blur, but it was like a text message from her asking if I was going to move out, and then I was just kind of like, well, yeah, fuck it. I'm just gonna move out. I'm out. I don't wanna live here. This is fucking weird. That's a pretty long story. I'm gonna shorten it up a little bit. I moved out. I'm now in my current apartment, which is like 14 times bigger than the apartment I was in before. It's more expensive. It has a pool, which I'm kind of excited about, but I haven't been in it yet. But the weird stipulation with the pool, FYI, a little side note, every guest that I bring with me, I'm only allowed 2. They have to bring a check or a money order for $5 every time they want to go swimming. What? Anyway, I moved into this apartment, and the day that I moved in, I was like cleaning and unpacking, and I found all these little spiders and they jumped all over the place. Thankfully, I haven't seen them since. I don't know where they are, not complaining. But every single day since I moved in, I have killed at least 2 house centipedes. At least 2. And I'm talking little baby ones to like the biggest motherfuckers that ate some steroids. Every single day, at least 2. So I bought Home Defense. I sprayed it on the outside of the door and the window and the inside of the door and the window. And I still have house centipedes. They went away for like a week, but now they're back every day, at least 2. That's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem are the mice. I am on number 4. 4 mice. 4 mice. four mice. The first one was killed on a glue trap, and I had to hear him scream while I was watching TV until I figured out, like, you fucking idiot, there's a dead mouse. No, it's alive. You have a caught mouse on a glue trap. What are you gonna do? The second mouse and the third mouse got caught on the traps that go like, and this fourth one that I saw in the living room the other day hasn't been caught yet, but I'ma get them. And the whole reason for me making this video, or wanting to make this video and update you guys on my life, is because the sheriff was here the other day. I am sitting on my couch, and if you watch my Snapchats at all, you know that if I'm sitting on my couch watching TV, it's on that mirror credenza, and I can see everything behind me. And it just so happens that what's behind me is my patio door. So I'm on my couch the other day after work, watching this guy standing outside of my apartment, full bulletproof vest, gun strapped to his thigh. So I'm like, what do I do? So I grab my keys and I grab my wallet and I pretend like I'm walking to my car. And before I even like got off of my patio, he was like, what apartment are you? I was like, and I give him my apartment number, and he was like, oh, I don't think that's the apartment that we're looking for. And he gets on his little radio and he asks what apartment they're looking for, and the guy comes back on. The guy says that they're looking for my apartment number, and he was like, what's your name, miss? Now, I'm making him seem like he's really ferocious, but he was like really skinny and not intimidating at all. So I clarified my apartment number. He's like, is there anybody in there with you? And I was like, no, I moved in like a month ago. And he was like, are you the sole occupant? And I was like, yep. And he goes, they're knocking on your door right now. And I was like, I'm the only one in there, and I'm standing out here with you. So this humongous Hulk of a man comes out of the apartment complex in full sheriff gear, and he shows me this piece of paper, and he's like, do you know this guy? And it's a picture of a guy, big round face, big huge lips. Never saw the guy before in my life. I was like, I don't know who that guy is. And he says his name, and I was like, I'm not gonna remember that. Can I take a picture of that? And he said, no, you cannot. So he writes down on his hand, not the Hulk guy, the skinny guy, the first guy. He takes my first name, my last name, and my date of birth. He was like, all right, I'm gonna make it so they don't come back here anymore. And then they were gone. And I was like, that was super weird. But I was asking them before they left, I was like, should I be concerned? And they were like, no, not at all. So I'm like, great. So last night I went to the office, the landlord's office, and I was like, hey, what's up, ladies? I'm on my fourth mouse, and the sheriff's office is in my apartment last night. And they're like, what? So I tell them what happened about the mice and stuff, and they put a work order in, and they said they're gonna bring someone here and set more traps, blah, blah, blah. I tell them about the sheriff's office, and halfway through the story, other lady in the office chimes in, and she goes, oh. The fuck do you mean? Oh, the girl that lived in the apartment before you, that's her boyfriend. He wasn't really supposed to live there. And then she just skipped out on rent. So we don't know what happened to her. And I was like, you couldn't have told me this? I gave you thousands of dollars to allow me to move into this apartment, and you couldn't give me a heads up? I mean, granted, I don't really know what they were gonna like say to me, like, oh, hey, just, you know, thanks for the check, thanks for the money, here's the keys, by the way. Like, I don't know what I thought that they would have told me, but like, a little bit of a heads up would have been nice, I guess. Maybe not, because I probably wouldn't move it in. Oh man, I totally forgot. All right, so I was supposed to have an apartment warming at the first apartment, the one I moved out of, but I didn't have that. When I moved into this apartment, I had a housewarming, and my dad's sister, my aunt, she goes to the other apartment, and it just so happens, I'm finding this information out from like mutuals. Apparently my aunt saw my ex at the old apartment complex because he knows somebody that lives there, and she recognizes him from Facebook and says, I can't find Christina's apartment. Do you know where she lives? When my ex and I broke up, we didn't really tell anybody what happened because it was like nobody's business. But for my aunt to say something to my ex about like, hey, do you know where Christina lives? Like, don't talk to him. Like, don't talk to him. Don't make things awkward on him. He doesn't know who you are. You only know him from Facebook. He's never met you before. So he's standing in this apartment complex talking to a lady, being asked about me. He doesn't know who this lady is. Like, it's so mortifying. But yeah, I can't think of anything else to tell you guys about. So that's gonna be it. Please like this video, subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye!